This is not just another injury update. Juan Carlos Ferrero has just issued a chilling warning about the wrist of Carlos Alcaraz, and it changes everything we know about his immediate future on the ATP Tour. The entire tennis world is in absolute shock right now. A simple physical problem has suddenly escalated into a full-scale crisis. Ferrero is sounding the alarm loud and clear. He sees a young player pushing his body far beyond the absolute physical limit. This is a limit that no human body can sustain for a long period without severe consequences. Is this just a minor setback or the beginning of a terrifying physical collapse? The reality is incredibly dark. Carlos is known for his explosive power and raw, relentless energy on the court. However, that exact energy is now turning against him. His own ultimate weapon is destroying him from the inside out. Ferrero knows the exact danger of ignoring these early red flags. He has been closely monitoring the situation with growing fear. What Ferrero is pointing out behind closed doors is far more terrifying than just a few missed tournaments. Right now, the European clay court swing is in absolute chaos. Tournament directors in Madrid and Rome are completely scrambling to save the appeal of their prestigious events. The silence from the medical team of Carlos Alcaraz is deafening. Nobody is speaking directly to the press. No official positive updates are coming out of the Spanish camp. Fans are absolutely terrified. They are watching their favorite stars slowly fade from the biggest stages of the sport. We have seen this exact nightmare unfold before in tennis history. Young aggressive players ignore early signs of wrist pain and pay a massive permanent price later in their careers. The current atmosphere inside the training camp is incredibly tense. Every single hour passing without an official medical clearance feels like a heavy blow to the entire tennis community. The Madrid Open is facing the harsh reality of losing its biggest home star. The courts in Rome are now in serious jeopardy as well. Carlos is rapidly running out of time to recover for this crucial part of the physical season. The pressure is mounting heavily from sponsors, tournament organizers, and the media. The tension is palpable across the entire tour. However, missing these massive events is just the surface level of a much bigger problem. The real terror lies in what actually triggered this physical breakdown. The magnitude of this wrist injury could permanently alter the entire landscape of professional tennis for years to come. Make sure you subscribe to the channel right now to track every single critical development of this escalating medical crisis before it is too late. You do not generate the most explosive forehand on the tour without paying a massive physical price. And right now, Carlos is paying the ultimate toll. The biomechanics behind his signature shot are finally catching up to his body. Every single time he hits that violent heavy topspin forehand, an enormous amount of kinetic shock travels directly through his wrist and into his forearm. It is brutal. It is completely unsustainable for a decade-long career. Juan Carlos Ferrero has watched this destructive physical pattern for months. The strict head coach has repeatedly demanded a much safer and more efficient approach to the game. He wants Carlos to win with tactical intelligence and precise placement, not just raw physical violence, but the young Spaniard is incredibly stubborn on the court. His relentless hunger for absolute domination is blinding him to his own biological limits. The body of a young athlete is incredibly resilient, but it is certainly not bulletproof against the brutal modern tennis schedule. Ferrero sees a player who simply refuses to conserve any energy during matches. Carlos wants to chase down every single impossible ball at full sprint. He wants to hit absolute explosive winners from impossible defensive positions. This is exactly the kind of reckless physical behavior that Ferrero fears the most. The veteran coach knows perfectly well that this specific playing style is a direct path to a shortened career. The tension between the cautious wisdom of the veteran coach and the reckless fire of the young player has reached an absolute breaking point behind the scenes. Ferrero has seen this destructive pattern before, and his warning hints at a much darker reality for the young Spaniard. This is no longer just about a strained tendon or a swollen joint. We are looking at a fundamental flaw in the tennis machine of Carlos Alcaraz that could permanently derail his entire legacy. The unseen danger right now is the terrifying threat of chronic irreversible injury. The professional tennis world has witnessed this exact tragedy play out before on the biggest stages. Think about the devastating wrist problems of Juan Martín del Potro. Think about the agonizing early years of Rafael Nadal, when his own brutally aggressive style almost forced him into an extremely early retirement. Carlos is standing on that exact same dangerous precipice at this very moment. The intense pressure to defend his massive ranking points is actively pushing him toward a catastrophic medical mistake. The psychological crisis within his team is just as severe as the physical one. Carlos is terrified of losing his hard-earned momentum. He is desperately trying to rush his natural recovery process to get back on the dirt. But returning to the intense competition before the wrist is completely healed could trigger permanent structural damage to the joint. Is the historic career of Carlos Alcaraz genuinely in danger of burning out extremely early? Or will he adapt his game before the damage becomes permanent? Head down to the comments section right now and tell me if you think his brutal playing style is actually his biggest long-term weakness. The stakes for his future have never been higher than they are today. Every single leaked medical update brings a fresh new wave of intense anxiety for his fans. Carlos must make a virtually impossible choice in the coming days. He can choose to properly rest his damaged body and watch his world ranking completely plummet, or he can fight through the agonizing pain and risk destroying his right arm before he even reaches his athletic prime. This brutal internal war is tearing his usually calm camp apart. He is fighting a truly desperate battle against his own human anatomy. The absolute physical foundation that built his explosive early success is actively crumbling underneath his feet. And while Carlos is fighting a war against his own body, the rest of the tour is certainly not waiting for him to heal. While the Alcaraz camp is in full crisis mode, Jannik Sinner is ruthlessly taking over the tennis world. The contrast is incredibly bitter for the Spanish team right now. Jannik is playing with absolute cold efficiency. He is executing a clinical game plan that completely protects his body. The Italian star is steadily accumulating massive ranking points, while Carlos is trapped inside sterile medical rooms. This exact dynamic is creating an immense invisible pressure on the young Spaniard. He is forced to sit back and watch his greatest rival pull further and further away in the global standings. The physical gap between them is becoming painfully obvious to everyone watching. Jannik looks completely indestructible on the court. His smooth, fluid strokes and highly calculated movement preserve his vital energy for the deepest stages of major tournaments. Carlos is forced to witness this absolute dominance from the helpless sidelines. The psychological torture of missing these crucial European clay court battles is almost worse than the physical pain in his right wrist. Jannik is firmly establishing a terrifying new era of undisputed dominance. He is systematically removing all doubts about his supreme position on the ATP Tour. Which brings us to the ultimate question that no one in Spain wants to answer right now. The next 48 hours are absolutely critical. Ferrero knows that one wrong move, one rushed return, could jeopardize everything Carlos has built. The ultimate decision regarding the upcoming Roland Garros tournament will permanently define the rest of his professional career. Will he finally listen to the strict medical warnings of Juan Carlos Ferrero and accept a painful period of complete rest? Or will his intense competitive fire force him to make a desperate and reckless gamble in Paris? A premature return to the grueling best-of-5 set format on the slow red clay could snap his wrist completely. The physical demands of the French Open are notoriously brutal. The stakes are truly monumental right now. We are literally witnessing the potential collapse of a generational talent if the wrong path is chosen by his team. The Spanish camp must confront their darkest fears immediately. Carlos has to fundamentally rebuild his brutal playing style or face the grim reality of a drastically shortened career. Sinner is already fully capitalizing on this exact vulnerability. The balance of power in professional tennis is shifting dramatically every single day. Is this a fatal blow to the Alcaraz era? Or the painful wake-up call he desperately needed? We will find out very soon. The final medical verdict on his Roland Garros participation will drop any moment now, and the global fallout will be absolutely massive. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel to get the exact answer on his career-defining decision the second the news officially breaks.